My favorite thing in stories is when there's intensity. Intensity is when there is a showing of extreme action for the current subject. In media, you feel intensity usually during action scenes or heated dialogue with the appropriate music. You feel amped up, your heart is like racing, and you feel anxiety or nerves showing you become engrossed in the media. I love that. Anytime any media is able to bring out a level of intensity, that captivates me. It's my favorite thing. Anime is able to do this typically through shonen manga, like final fights where the hero is on the verge of death, or a plot twist that's elevated through music and the actions that take place right after. One of my best examples of intensity in anime is in Attack on Titan, when Reiner and Berthold reveal themselves, or when Eren first uses his Titan to carry the boulder after struggling so much to get control, or when Annie killed Levi's unit and Eren transformed after a shit ton of anger. That boy was heated. Things like this gets you amped up. It gets you hyped. But as much as it is important to create intense situations, being able to keep that intensity during the whole scene is also important. For example, let's say a character is getting destroyed by the enemy, and then they gain like a power up that makes them 10 times stronger than their opponent. You'll be hyped because of that transformation. That intensity that was built up is still alive and cooking, but now the fight is dragging. It's lasting longer than it should. And then your heart stops racing. The fight is still good, but now you're more calm. But let's say if you deleted a few scenes in that fight scene, there wouldn't be a change. The only change that would be is that the intensity is still there and your heart is still beating crazy. And that's a much better experience. It's hard to keep intensity going in stories in general, which is why intense moments usually don't last long. They'll last like 1 minute. And typically it's through fight scenes that are like short. But there is one series that consistently creates intense moments that last extremely long without feeling like it's dying out. And that is Bluelock. Bluelock is a god at keeping intensity. Its matches always start slowly and ramp up more and more and more as it goes on until the very end of the match with a big finish that makes you scream out loud. It's fucking insane. It's like watching a Super Bowl and the game is close and we get to the final touchdown in the fourth quarter and everyone goes crazy. Bluelock is able to do that effortlessly with all of his matches. It is insane. Bluelock's anime in season 1 has 2 matches that do that for me. First is Team Z versus Nagi's team. We slowly ramp up and get more excited for each goal because we are diving into layers of the characters. We see from their view and how they evolve themselves in an aggressive manner, and then they explode. And this repeats over and over. By theory, this should get boring because it's happening over and over. But what Bluelock does, it gives it different perspectives. We can learn the same lesson from 2 different characters, but they feel entirely different because of perspective. So even if their explosion is the exact same, their journey there is what makes the explosion feel fresh and new. And that's what I think carries the matches. Their journeys and the matches are so intense. I can literally read the U20 match over and over and not get tired of it. Because no matter what, once Shido gets that bicycle kick and scores, oh my god, the intensity is at its peak and it never slows down from there. The second season of Bluelock admittedly does lose that intensity for almost the entire match because of the pacing. Movement is key to keeping the flow, and flow is essential to keeping a constant intensity. Bluelock has a lot of dialogue. It's low-key word vomit, but it's said in ways to interact with the match. Somebody will be running or dribbling the ball while someone is talking, or they'll give an example with a lot of motion happening in the background. And that's how you keep the flow during all the yapping. That they tackle it so well, but the anime fails in season 2. They come back with the finale though. As soon as that animation changes and Shido starts running, immediately everyone is jumping out their seat. They're like, oh shit, let's get to it. Then there's a shit ton of yapping right after that. But here's how they do it, right? As Rin's backstory is happening, we are seeing his flashback with glass shattering, or his eyes evolving, or a monster being broken apart. This is flow. We're giving something that keeps our eyes moving and it keeps that motion going. So that once that motion is done, we're like, okay, his backstory is over. What's he about to do? What's he about to do? We're still amped up. And then we see a beautiful, quiet, no word scene that reaches its peak when Asagi scores that final goal. I am so happy Bluelock gets the attention it deserves with season 2, and hopefully season 3 will get the time and budget needed to be as good or greater than season 1. Thank you guys for listening so far. I'm about to get into manga only territory, so this is your only warning. I will now be talking about the Neo Egoist League and how each match brings out intensity in its own unique way. Let's dive on in. The first match for the Neo Egoist League, to be honest, there is no intensity. I'm not gonna lie to you. At first glance, the match is great, but compared to the other matches we get later on, it's not really, it's at the bottom of the list. It's just glorified scoring and personality. The reason it doesn't work mainly is because it's nothing new. The formula for Bluelock's intensity at the time was ego x ego and spot-like scoring. The thing with that is it's not fresh anymore. After the U20 match, we've seen it so much, we're used to it. It becomes normal. So we need something new, something fresh to fill that intensity that we love from these matches. It is also why I believe Bachara's team hasn't won a single game, because they're still in the spotlight scoring mode. They use their own talents alone to score. In the other games, there's a combination of talents to make an amazing goal. It's not one person using another person for that moment. It's a genuine team effort. Overall, the game is meant to give an introduction of the characters, how the league works, and what we should expect from Isagi and Kaiser and other characters. And now that we fully understand what we should be looking for and expecting in these next games, shit really gets intense. Now this next match, holy fuck. It's Bastard Munchen versus Manshine City. Now that's intensity. As soon as Isagi learns Metavision, everything ramps up. We finally see what will be the normal for the Neo Egoist League. There are 3 factors that make this game work and keep intensity from the middle of the match to the very end. The first factor is a new mindset. When 2 fantasies intersect, they are born. I love this concept we're introduced to because we can apply it to real life. You want something and you dream of it happening, but if it's just you working towards it, it won't become real. What makes it real is when someone shares something similar to that dream, and by helping each other, it becomes real. Like if someone wants to make an anime, but they can't draw, and an artist wants to make a story, but they don't know how to fully flesh out ideas or stories. Once they come together, it becomes real. It's the same for music. There's a singer and there's a composer. In sports, there is a coach and there's a player with raw potential. Even in video games, there are the creators of the game and the gamers that make the game shine and flourish. This is so true, and the way they use it in soccer is so good. When Ryo and Nagi work together, their fantasies finally interlock, and Nagi scores a triple-double god-tier goal. Isagi wants to beat Kaiser, and Kunigami wants to score. That combination creates an unexpected moment for a fire goal where Isagi also beats Kaiser. It's great. This factor gives us that shock value and excitement because once the characters sync, we are in for a treat. Let's see how that rhyme? The next factor is Isagi realizing everyone is a protagonist. Everyone had their own way of winning. It may be, I want to make the best assist. I want to stop a crazy goal. I want to make a hat trick. This mindset creates layers on layers that enables for new goals and new ways to create a goal. This mindset really works well with Yukimiya and the struggle we go through with him to create a goal. Once again, it's unexpected. It's shock value. And shock value is important in keeping intensity. And finally, when Yukimiya gets his backstory and he says, God doesn't give us more than we can handle, we get invested in him. Whether we like it or not, we understand him now. And seeing his hope get crushed sets him up for us to be excited for when he makes his goal. It's a setup and it works really well. What pushes this idea even further is the message at the end when he does score. I won't give my fate or ego over to God. When Isagi gives him the pass and we see he would have been blocked anyway, it shows us that you can't just rely on fate or God to give you that dream, to give you that goal. The dream you aim for can't just happen if you just trust the process. You have to be the process, get off your ass and make it a reality. And when he creates his very own way of kicking to score, he grabs fate by the neck and forces it to his will. This match tells us what we should expect from now on. Intense plays, 190 IQ, and gay boys fighting for attention. Now my favorite match in the entire series so far, Bastard Munchen versus Ubers. Whew! Holy fucking shit. This match, in my opinion, topples the U20 match. Why? It's a heated back and forth. I love the fact that it feels like a real football game. Typically, there may be a total of 2 or 3 goals in a football match. There is more back and forth going on than the actual scoring. And that's not a bad thing, especially if you know what's going on in the game. The 1v1s, the dribbling, the steals, the passes, the blocks. This struggle to even get in the score zone is a true battle, and this game creates this. You know he's doing good because he gets to the point where Baro is annoyed because he keeps getting blocked. With Isagi and Kaiser betting on who can score the most, and the hype that comes with Baro having a hat trick last game, the hype is ready and it just needs to be ignited. And once Isagi blocks that goal for Baro, we are in for a fucking feast. There is no struggle to keep up with others like in usual Bluelock games with the person leveling up at the last second. This time everyone is on equal play, one-upping each other the entire time, and the anger and frustration the players have for the last second blocks. This game is already intense with us not knowing what's going to happen next. But now we bring in another element, Hiyori and his backstory. The boy doesn't like soccer, he just plays it because he has nothing better to do and to get away from his forceful parents. The message that is driven to us in this game is don't stop dreaming until you're dead. If your dream hasn't been accomplished, don't just sit around and give up. But that's way easier said than done. It takes the interaction of others to motivate us, to inspire us, to change our perspective. Baro does this for the coach, saying he isn't like him and he doesn't want hands out. He calls out the coach for giving up on his dream and settling. The coach is inspired by Baro and his mentality of getting it out the mud, which makes the coach cancel his retirement. It's the same for Hiyori. He finds out his passion through Isagi. I love Hiyori's passion. The man's a fucking sadist. Once he gets a taste of what he can do, what he can envision, what he thinks and not what he is told, oh my god, he's something else. When he finally decides on his own dream, of his own ego, it's because of Isagi. It's because of the impact of others. And what brings the intensity home is the way we see the development there. It's a lot of word vomit, but it's spaced between each action panel. We get a sentence and then a panel. A sentence and then a panel. This way we keep flow. We read and then we see more action. We see more intensity, so it never slows down. It never dwindles. And that final goal, fucking cinema. Cinema is fucking peak. I'll read it any day of this fucking week from the beginning to the end. It is pure cinema. Oh my god. Currently, the Neo Egoist arc is still in action. And I'm waiting for the last game to fully finish before I read it. Because if you guys didn't know, reading the matches in full is better than week to week. I'm telling you. If you haven't reread the old matches, the fact that you can keep that flow, bro, you have to go back and read it. Just to be able to go next page non-stop is, oh my god, it is peak. And it keeps the intensity. That's the best way to keep that intensity. I'm never going back to week reading. That shit was a struggle. No sir. Another thing that I feel really brings intensity when reading is music. If you are not listening to music while you're reading a manga, bro, you are missing out. Give it a shot. Please, I beg you, give it a shot. It really just changes the entire way you read, and it makes it so much better. It makes the experience so much better. To bring this to a conclusion though, Bluelock excels at carrying intensity for long periods of time, with the usage of character developing mid-match, and the match itself being great quality, and of course the icing on top, with the crazy aggressive dialogue that's used. Bluelock is undefeated in this genre, and it deserves a great Season 3.